Hi girls, today we'll be looking at goal setting. There are three types of goals. Really important you take a screenshot. Outcome goals focus on the result of a particular event, e.g. finishing first in a 100-metre sprint or winning a state championship. Performance goals concentrate solely on comparing the individual's performance with their previous performance, e.g. shaving 1 second off their 100-metre sprint or swim. And process goals, importantly for us this one, focus on the technique of performance rather than the overall result. For example, passing the ball over the net using 3 hits, so we try to get to our spike rather than just hitting it over. What types of goals to set? Well, you need a combination of all three. We don't want you just to set performance goals. This emphasizes the achievement of the results and may cause stress and anxiety. So if you're setting a goal to beat the other team throughout the course of term 1 and you don't achieve that goal, that's obviously going to cause some anxiety, some stress, and also it might disrupt some team cohesion. So it's really important, don't just focus on the achievement, but also your skill as well. So if I go back, so process goals. So we don't just want those outcome and performance goals, especially in our volleyball unit, we want to have some process goals in place. Here's an example of sort of a progression of goals. So from immediate goals to long-term goals. So I started immediate goals. They're designed to be completed during single performance and are designed to affect immediate motivation or arousal. So for example, keeping your elbow high on this serve to ensure it falls close to the forward service line. Making contact with the ball off a really good server. Okay, so they're immediate, straight away goals that happen in a game or at training. Short-term goals provide the ongoing motivation to get from one milestone to the next. It's kind of like a stepping stone short-term goal. So for example, to get 95% of short serves in during training this week, to achieve at least a 13 on the beat test by the start of the season next month. So they're not long-term goals, they're short-term goals to keep that motivation up. Medium-term goals, so deliver milestones. These are signposts along the way to your long-term goals. So you've moved on from that short-term and now you're sort of stepping towards that long-term goal. And that long-term goal could be 4 years away. So it's really important that you do need these in-between goals to keep your motivation up. So for example, making the Queensland badminton team to gain a Pacific ranking in Australia or to win a national title. And now we have our long-term goals. So they're what you want to achieve from your physical activity. Probably every person that is an elite athlete wants to make an Olympic team or world championship team. So that's that long-term goal. It's really important that we have these ones in between to keep our motivation up because this could be a long way away. Okay, that could be in 4 years' time, 8 years' time. So you do need those in-between goals to keep your motivation. Long-term and short-term goals should be developed to complement each other. And it's really important that we set goals with different focuses over time periods to ensure that the motivation remains high. So, go back to those 3 types of goals. You just don't want that performance type goal. You also want a variety of goals to keep that motivation up. Here's an example of how you'd sort of look at short-term goals all the way up to long-term goals. So a staircase model. So we have here, your off-season preparing, cross-country, improve your strength and technique, and then win the 100 metres, win 100 metres by training 3 times a week, achieve a personal best, achieve selection in a regional team, and then again, as we all aspire, we want to represent a Queensland or national team. So that's a step-by-step staircase model of short to long-term goals. Why set goals? Important you get this down, girls. Goal setting is a really effective psychological tool that can increase motivation as setting targets to achieve results leads to an increase in motivation. If you've got no goal, you've got nothing to increase your motivation. If you don't have a goal to make a Med-East team or a Queensland team, then you might not have the motivation that will get you there. It's a bit like weight loss goals. People have, weight loss goals to in order to motivate them. I want to lose 2 kilos in a month. That's their goal, and they have that in place to motivate them. Motivation may decrease. This is really important with time. As the deadline for achieving the goal approaches, then the motivation will increase. So over time, you may sort of lose that motivation to make that Queensland team. But, as it approaches a month out, your motivation starts to increase because trial's just around the corner. And this is why all types of goals should be developed. So again, we don't just want to focus on that outcome-based goal. We also want to focus on some sort of skill goals, technique goals. Effective goal setting. So sports performance goals could be set focusing on fitness, mental technique, which is obviously what we're focusing on. So when you develop goals next week, girls, I don't just want them to be skill, to be outcome goals. I want you to focus on also your mental skills. So working on refocusing when distracted, imagery, etc., self-talk, skill techniques, so improving specific skills that will obviously be important for the context of our unit, and tactics, giving you a volleyball example, transitioning from attack to defense. Examples of goals, so on the left are poorly written goals, so improve forehand tennis, and then improve writing of the goal, prepare racket head earlier. Smarter goals, you need to know this framework. I'm sure you've heard it before. So specific, what do you exactly want to achieve? Measurable, how will you know when you've reached your goal? Achievable, do you have the desire and ability to actually achieve this goal, or is it a little bit unrealistic? This takes me to the next one, realistic. Are you prepared to spend the time and effort to make your goal a reality? Time frames, when do you aim to achieve this goal? That's really important. We obviously don't have 6 months or a year. We have less than a term. So your goals have to be really, really refined, really specific, and you need to be able to achieve them in that short amount of time. Evaluate. Goals need to be constantly evaluated and adjusted to reflect your progress. So you might find that, for example, your goal might be to serve overhead smash or a jump serve, and week 6, week 7, you still don't know how to do it, and it just might be too much of an unrealistic goal. So instead of doing the jump serve, you might take a step back to just the overhead serve, and maybe focus on different areas within that serve, such as practice targeting serves, or short serves using the overhead that just go over the net, etc. And obviously, really, really important, they have to be recorded. You have to take accountability for your goals. You have to write them somewhere. They have to be visible. Writing down the goals creates ownership of what is to be achieved. It ensures expectations are set in stone. There is no turning back. Here's an example of a goal setting sheet for volleyball. We're going to do something different in class, but can you please take a screenshot of that so you can see an example of setting goals using the SMARTER framework. And for next week, just to finish, I want you to think about your own personal goals in the volleyball context. What type of goals will you set? We will set team goals together as a team in class next week. So just think about your personal goals for now. Come up with at least 2. Thank you, girls.